out of her, my people. Spiggity biggity biggity bang bang spit bang. Reggie man I come to bring them judgment again. Spiggity biggity 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 bang, bada bang bang, bada bang. Hey, on the streets my brother's dying, and I hear the mothers crying, crying out. And the way that things are going, it seems the beast is going down.
Alright, what's up guys? This is of course the organic guy, and this time we are in Limuru in Kiambu County. Well, we're here to see an organic farmer by the name of Sylvia Kuria. She's been doing this for quite a while, and of course we are here so that she can share her own journey, and hopefully you can be able to get a thing or two from her particular journey in terms of what you can pick up in your organic journey, or rather if you're starting an organic journey. So we'll be able to just take a look at how organic farm, what are the kind of things that she's doing, what are some of the things that she is implementing at her particular farm, and maybe you can be able to pick up a thing or two and use it on your own journey. So we hope that this particular episode will be full of value to you, and of course be able to have that organic magic experience. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's go and experience the organic magic.
Come out of her, my people.
These are the kind of trees that you're doing in your farm.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about it and why is it important?
Okay. I think for us, we just saw that agroforestry, in my opinion, is a very integral part of organic agriculture.
Yeah.
Because you need trees to have the full ecosystem.
Yeah, sure.
Acacia albida,
Yeah.
which is an the tree is very good because it's a very good nitrogen fixer. And how it fixes nitrogen is through the roots.
Yeah.
Like as the roots spread, they are actually fixing nitrogen to the soil. But also acacia normally flowers and it actually sheds, the flowers and the leaves once a year.
Yeah.
And when you have a big tree that is shedding down, that's actually very good nutrition.
Yeah, exactly.
That is just incorporated into the soil from nature. Something else about acacia, of course, the bees love it. So when you have your beehives here,
Yeah.
then the bees also have enough forage
Yeah.
for their food.
Okay.
Yeah, and then also, so I've talked about that. Then we've also talked about the nitrogen fixers, and then the ones for fruit. So we've been wondering, what fruit does well.
Yeah.
And what we have learned is just grow the fruit that does well in your area.
Yeah.
Do not
so
try
it's
to
not
export.
copy paste.
Exactly. Don't try to export fruit from another area and come and bring it
Expecting
here
to do well.
to do well here.
Okay.
So the ones that you see here, we actually have planted some avocados. So we have the hybrid avocados, and we also have the traditional ones. Sorry.
Okay, I was waiting for the Hass.
Yeah, we have a bit of Hass, and also the local ones, the indigenous avocados.
Okay.
But you'll see that the indigenous avocados are actually doing much better than the Hass avocados.
Yeah.
So, which is not a bad thing in a way, because if this is what the soil and the environment is able to accommodate, then that's what we need to be eating.
Yeah.
Something else we've been planting that does very well are berries. So we have some wild berries. So we have raspberry, and we have blackberry, and we also have mulberry.
Yeah.
So those ones are doing well. So we have about a few bushes, and they're coming up, and they're very high in vitamin C.
Oh.
So in December, we're able to, from 3-4 bushes, we're able to harvest enough raspberry to make, like jam every week for the children.
Nice.
And it's just natural, organic.
Yeah.
And the kids also eat it.
Yeah.
So, we are learning that works also. This area also, the stone fruits, like plums, pears and peaches also do well here.
Yeah.
And lookwards.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
we're going back to eating our natural fruits.
Amazing, many varieties I can see on the menu.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it's a bit dry, especially at this time of the year.
Yeah.
And I've seen you've concentrated on drought-resistant crops.
Yes.
What was the thinking behind it?
I think we have to also shift our minds in the way that we take our diet, and you just have to realize that if some things does not do well at a particular season or in a particular area, then accept it. So because we farmers normally spend a lot of money and time and resources growing crops that everyone else is planting and they will not really do well.
Yeah.
So I've accepted this is not Kitale and there's no use trying to grow the huge maize.
Yeah.
So what we have done is we have our cassavas, we do pumpkins, and then we also have our sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
So those do well in this area, generally without much of a hassle.
Yeah.
So we have planted them, though the cassava, to be honest, it does well, but sometimes it won't be too big because of the cold in the evening. Because we have warm days and cold evenings.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest, but at least you can get something out of it.
Yeah.
Sweet potatoes are doing exceptionally well. The only problem that we are struggling with is a mole. The moles come to dig them out.
Oh, yeah.
And how we've dealt with organically is we have planted, we have gotten some shoots of flowers that do well. They attract the bees at the top and repel the moles in the soil.
Nice.
Yeah, so we are learning how to do such things.
Yeah.
Just to make it work. Because most people here would not do sweet potatoes because of mole. But last week, when we harvested our sweet potatoes, we actually got one that was almost 600 grams. One sweet potato. It was very huge.
Pretty huge. Yeah.
Very big. Yeah. So those ones are doing okay here.
Yeah.
And we've also had sorghum that did fairly okay.
Yeah.
Also, what we're learning is get the natural seed. Local seed. Local seed does better than the hybrid seed, to be honest.
Wow. Yeah, so also something I've noticed about your farm is you planted quite a lot of kunde.
Yes.
And some people argue that kunde can act as a good green manure.
Yeah.
So for you, have you tried it before? Or this is the first time you're trying it, and are you growing it for manure also or for consumption?
Okay, we tried it, but then in very small batches. And also we tried it at the wrong time of the season. Now we are still learning.
Wow.
So the best thing to do, in my opinion, is to actually grow them with the short September rains.
Yeah.
Then you can have them on the farm through, December, January, February. Because then one thing they're doing is they are helping the bare farm have a cover crop. And you see the essence is to protect the soil from the hot sun. Because we talked about if you don't do that, then you like the soil kicks up and becomes really hard. Yeah. So now what we have done, of course, because now we have the cover crop, one thing it's doing is covering the soil, and also the roots are penetrating into the soil, making the soil more aerated and porous.
Yeah.
On top of that, you have to choose what kind of cover crop you're going to use. For us, in this case, we used kunde, which is also known as cowpeas.
Yeah.
And how we're going to use it is to manure this whole farm. If you don't have a lot of animals, can be very costly. So what we do, when it starts flowering, we're going to dig it back into the soil, and then it's going to rot in there. So it's going to give us our free nitrogen, not free, but very affordable nitrogen that we'll be able to put into the soil. And then now, even if you add your animal manure, you'll make sure that the soil is very nice and,
very nutrient rich.
Yes, it is nutrient rich, which is going to be good for the next crop that you're planting.
Yeah.
So we've made it, we're going to start making it a habit that any place that doesn't have a crop that you're planting will always be covered by a cover crop. So that the farm will not be left bare. Because when you leave the soil bare, that's when it degrades.
Yeah, true.
And you want to reduce that. Yes.
So from your experience, I'm just wondering, when you're digging it back to the soil, do you get the nutrients immediately, or it takes a bit longer?
It takes time to break down. It will take time to break down.
Yeah, so you will have to give it time limit, sort of.
Yeah, now what we're going to do, because now we are mid-February, so we might have to dig it in maybe closer to the rains. Maybe the second week of March. That's when we're going to dig it in as we are preparing the soil. So we give it time to start the rotting process. So when the rain comes, it will just help it to rot a little faster. But then the release of the nutrients will be slow. That's the thing about organic. It's not just a hit and run where you just get everything immediately. But then also, the effects will not be felt maybe only with this one crop, but it's a habit that we have to keep continually doing to make sure we never have bare soil. We always have our cover crops that is able to capture the nitrogen and put it into the soil. Yeah.
Come out of her, my people.
All right, we're continuing with our journey at Sylvia's place. So we are in a sort of net house. And one of the things that you can clearly see is most of your vegetables are thriving in this kind of environment. Can you highlight to us, some of the advantages you're seeing when growing crops in such a kind of environment?
Okay, the net house actually works quite well because it works as a barrier.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's able to reduce the hot sun and rays coming into the crops.
The crops, yeah.
Yeah, because the hot sun, of course, would make the crops wither and they wouldn't do very well.
Yeah.
So it reduces that. And then also when you water, as you can see, the ground can stay this wet for about 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
And the crops actually grew a little faster.
Yeah.
Because it actually has some sort of greenhouse effect.
Yeah.
That helps the crops grow a little faster. And then also, it also keeps the crops away from the pests. As you can see, the lettuce has no pests. It looks like you've seen the tomatoes have very minimal pests. And the idea is when you have a healthy crop, it's actually able to keep away the pest. Because when you're healthy, then you're able to
it's sort of
to resist the pests and diseases. So in as much as we are growing out like some things out and some things in, I think as a farmer you have to know the seasons, what will grow well in the net or in a barrier like a greenhouse, a plastic greenhouse still works, or what will grow out like very well out. For example, you can't be able to put your pumpkins and watermelons inside
in certain kind of settings.
It won't work very well because those need to be pollinated. Yes, so those ones have to grow out, and they're also sun loving, so they grow very well out. And because our farm is organic, we have quite a number of bees around, so the bees always go around to help us to pollinate them, and then you can get a better crop. Because now if you grow here, you can't be able to, you can self-pollinate, which is a little difficult, but then it's a matter of you planning your farm and knowing what will do well in which area. Let me give an example of having the barriers during the cold season. During the cold season and wet season, we'll plant our lettuce out. Because the weather is nice out, it's cool, and they do well in there.
Okay.
And then also when you have our tomatoes, then they need to go into a plastic greenhouse. Because even the net house will not work, because then it becomes very cold. So the temperatures of hot and cold makes the tomatoes get more fungal infections. But then now in the greenhouse, because it's generally going to be warm, then the tomatoes will do a little better with little fungal infections.
Wow.
So you just have to, for us it's been a lot of experimenting over the years and learning what works where.
Interesting. You can actually tell by the intense knowledge that you have of things and how they work. Cold, in the warm season. So that comes as a result of being in this kind of business for quite a long time. One thing we can also see, or one thing that people say most about such an environment, is the ability to grow crops throughout season, year in, year out. So as an organic farmer, how do you do that, and how do you sort of keep your soil nourished over that period of time?
Okay, so we try to grow almost everything all year round, but as we said, nature has its own way. So we have to learn to change our diet depending on what is doing well in a particular season. Let me give you an example, because sometimes when we sell our vegetables, we normally give the vegetable basket. So we warn our customers in advance that they should not hope for broccoli and cauliflower between January and April. So, because that way you let things grow according to what the weather will entail. And how we do that also with the soil. You asked about how we keep our soil good all year round. We have our compost pits. So we normally compost all the farm waste. And then we also introduce to the soil our kitchen waste, but only the green of the kitchen waste. So we normally give some to our chicken, but the remaining you just put it into the compost and bring it back. So when we are planting, we are always composting. And we are also focusing in the years that we've been here to actually build our soil. it's very important that you have healthy soil because that's what is going to keep you over the long term.
Yeah.
If I can give an example between conventional and organic farming, if you don't mind, in terms of soil.
Yeah, sure.
When you have the conventional farming, you'll find that in the first 6 years, the produce is very high.
Yeah.
Because you're able to put in the quick fixes of the DAPs, the CN, and all that.
Yeah.
So your whatever you grow is also going to do very well.
Yeah.
But what happens with time, when you have too much synthetic fertilizer into the soil, it becomes acidic and creates a very hard pan, so that the crop is not able to uptake the nutrients it needs.
Wow.
That's what happens with conventional farming. So you'll find that in conventional farming, when you're getting to the 7th, 8th year, the yield is actually really going down.
Yeah.
And you will have to leave the land fallow for some time, or you have to look for fresh land to plant on.
Yeah.
But organic farming is the opposite.
Yeah.
In the first 3 years, it will be a real struggle. You will not have much because you're just taking time to build your soil. Composting takes time.
Yeah.
Bringing in the right microorganisms takes time. The worms.
Yeah.
It will take you a long time. Actually, in my opinion, it takes about 4 years. 4 to 5 years to build your soil well.
Yeah.
But the good thing about that is that your yield will keep increasing for many years to come.
Yeah.
Because when you do such organic farming, it's sustainable agriculture that my children will still be able to come to this farm, grow whatever they please, and they will still be, and their yields will actually be better than what I'm getting right now.
Yeah.
So that's how you do. So you compost. Then we also do plant teas. So what you do, you take the greens
Yeah.
on the crop of the farm. Maybe when we are selling our vegetables, you always have the green waste.
Yeah.
Put it in a drum of water, 3/4, maybe the 200-liter drum of water.
Yeah.
Put the plant waste to 3/4. I also add in my kitchen waste, the green of the kitchen waste,
Yeah.
and add water. Then you just keep stirring it every day. Then after 7 days, you sieve it, and it's a natural foliar that you put into the soil.
Oh.
Then you also put in, you can also do your compost tea. So when your compost is ready, you put it in a sack, so it looks like a tea bag on your big drum of water.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be releasing the nutrients into that water. So use that water and put it back into the soil.
Yeah.
You can also do that with manure. So you have the manure tea, compost tea, and plant teas. So we are trying to do all those practices plus composting and mulching
Yeah.
to build our soils.
Nice.
Yeah.
And nowadays people are making it easier for anyone to venture into organic farming.
Yeah.
They are biological pesticides.
Yes.
Biological herbicides.
Yes.
Organic fertilizers one can use. Have you tried them?
Yes.
Oh.
You have to be careful with those though, because you have to know exactly how they are made
Yeah.
and who makes them.
Yeah.
So what we've done, we have used biological control, especially for nematodes. So we've used the trichoderma and bacillus. Trichoderma is very good to reduce the nematodes in the soil.
Yeah.
And we don't use it all the time, because what happens, because our soil is organic and you're using trichoderma, which is a biological control,
Yeah.
you find that the trichoderma is actually able to be in the soil for some time
Oh.
because it's not being affected by anything else.
Huh.
So you'll find that every maybe 6 months or so, we'll always reintroduce back the trichoderma into the new crops. And what it helps is that because it's biological, it actually helps the, like what I know about trichoderma personally, it helps the root formation. Because when you have a strong root of the plant is strong and is able to grow
Yeah.
very well. Also with bacillus, it also helps in to reduce soil-borne diseases.
Yeah.
Especially for tomatoes. When I use bacillus in my tomatoes very early, I don't have any issues with bacterial wilt. Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm using that. We also used it for pests. So we used metarhiziums. When we started farming here, my whole farm was infected by thrips. The 2 acres. Everything. The thrips ate everything. From the lettuce to the skuma to everything. To the onions.
Yeah.
So we used a biological control, but also what happened, for us to reduce the thrip infestation, you do something called crop rotation.
Yeah.
So if you have a lot of thrips or problems in this one area of that pest, you rotate with another crop that's not affected by that pest.
Yeah.
Even we used to have a lot of aphids. But right now when you go out, you will not find aphids on the farm
Yeah.
at all. And when it's hot, aphids are very many.
Yes.
But you have no aphids because we've been rotating. And then something else we do is companion planting. If you look there, you can see we have a row of tomatoes.
Yes.
And in between the tomatoes, we have onion.
Yeah.
So the onion helps as a form of repellent. So it's going to repel and keep away the pests,
yeah.
that would affect the tomatoes.
Yeah.
Recently, we read that spider mites don't like garlic. So we're also going to be planting
Yeah.
more garlic in the tomatoes because they just don't like the smell of garlic. So you also have to do companion planting. And how that works is, it works in two ways with companion planting.
Yeah.
When, say for example, you plant maize and beans together, the beans provide nitrogen that is needed by the maize to grow big and strong.
Yeah.
That's why people normally plant maize and beans together.
Yeah.
Now when you plant, that's one way of companion planting for nutrient sharing.
Yeah.
You can also do it for pests, because you find sometimes you'll find that the predators will be on one plant, and the predators will eat the pests which is on another plant, say for example.
Yeah.
Or also it works as a repellent altogether. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very for a person who wants to venture to organic farming. The way you're explaining things, they are a bit, knowledge intensive.
Yeah.
It's I guess it's very knowledge intensive. So anyone who wants to go to organic farming can say, do I really want to know all those things?
Yes.
But for you, any advice that you can have to such a person, is it patience? Is it the ability you just want to keep learning?
Yeah.
Share it for us. What does it take?
One, you need patience and passion to be able to know that you want to grow safe food. For us, even the fact that I'm growing safe food for my fellow Kenyans is actually stems from my faith.
Yeah.
That I want to be able to give people the best that our maker and creator has given us. So I think you also have to have the conviction.
Yeah.
And my advice would be, start small. Do not start organic farming on 5 acres, kindly.
Yeah.
Start with kitchen garden that is a 2 meter by 2 meter square. Start with that and learn on it for 1 whole year. Because then that will help you know what is working. That's how I started. I started with a very tiny kitchen garden and I experimented on it for about 2 years. So start small, learn from there, feed yourself first. I always say that. Don't go to plant things for the market.
I want to feed the other people.
Yeah.
So I want to grow mass organic.
Exactly.
So you advise against that?
No, it is good, but you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Because you see, all these lessons I have is by starting small.
Yeah, what you
doing small patches and wondering, does this work? Does it not work? So start small and then now grow. Feed yourself first. Enjoy the food you're eating. Know how it came to your plate.
Yeah.
And then do a variety of vegetables. I always tell people, grow at least 10 varieties of the different food groups.
Yeah.
So that you're able to have enough for your family, and you have enough nutrients that you're feeding your family.
Yeah.
Say for example, you have to have about 2 to 3 cereals. It's very simple. Do a hedge of maize.
Yeah.
Grow it with climbing beans.
Yeah.
Draw pumpkin at the pumpkin, like at the bottom, because pumpkin is good for mulching, natural mulch, and it's still going to give you the pumpkin fruit.
Yeah.
And then you do your greens, mix it with a bit of onions. Isn't that a balanced diet?
Yeah,
for everything that you need.
Yeah.
Because you have your greens and your cereals. So start small, then grow slowly.
Yeah.
And then also when you're doing organic farming, I've tried monocropping, it doesn't work. I had 3 acres of cabbages and I lost everything.
Wow.
To thrips. I lost everything to thrips.
That was a very heavy lesson right there.
Exactly. 3 acres of cabbages gone because I did monocropping. Everywhere you'll be on my farm, there is no crop that you'll see growing on its own. We have mixed up everything.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what I would advise. And with time, as you do that, you're building your soil. And as I told you about it, you're going to get more yields as time goes on. So you must be patient.
Yeah. Nice.
Come out of her, my people.
If you've been been wondering how you can control your molds, I think we finally have a solution, and thanks to Sylvia, she can sort of explain to us how this particular flower is helping her. So how does this particular flower work in terms of controlling the molds?
Okay, fine. So I this flower grows like a bulb.
Yeah,
like in the soil it actually looks like a bulb onion of some sort. So I just got it because I thought it's a beautiful flower. But then later on I learned from another organic farmer that it's very good in controlling molds. And because my farm has a lot of sweet potatoes and tubers and like the normal potatoes and the cassavas, naturally molds would come in. Then I also don't have a lot of neighbors, so this is where the molds would find their food. So I learned it the painful way because it's actually poisonous to animals. but then it works with the molds. Yes, it's poisonous to animals. Like your goats and cows should not get anywhere near it.
Yeah.
So we decided to plant it in between the farm where the molds were really affecting us. And since we planted it, I think for the past maybe 4, 5, 6 months since we planted it,
Yeah.
the rate of molds has really gone down because the tubers inside are not good for animals, but they're not affecting the plants, the other plants in any way.
Yeah.
And also, you can see it's a beautiful flower.
Yeah, it is.
So it actually helps to bring in the bees also. So it helps with the bees doing the pollination as it's killing the molds underneath.
Nice.
And it's very effective.
Yeah, biological.
Yeah.
Anything you'd want really in controlling pests.
Very true.
Yeah.
And it's also cost effective because otherwise, if you had to do it the better way, instead of using like a pesticide of some sort or chemical, we would have to pay someone to come and trap the molds. But then this one just works because it just only repels the molds away. Because when they dig and find it's there, they just leave.
Nice.
Yeah.
And one thing we've spotted here, it's sort of a row where you're growing between your path and your crops. Why is this concept working for you, and why is it important for you? Okay,
when I think about making good use of your space, you can see we have the line of Napier.
Yeah.
Then we have our agroforestry trees here.
Yeah.
And then at the edge we've done a small hedge of pigeon peas.
Yeah.
Other people call it also nzo in the
local language.
Yeah, it's called nzo. But it works very well as a hedge. You can see as dry as it is, it's very drought resistant.
Yeah.
It's actually flowering, and you can see it's actually forming the pods.
Yeah, comfortably.
So by the time the rains are coming, we'll be harvesting some very good parcels here.
Yeah.
So it's good for food security. When people say we don't have enough space, that's why I keep saying feed yourself first. So for here, I won't be able to sell it, but I'm just adding to the nutrient base of myself and my family's food.
Nice.
Because then we're able to eat a variety of foods on a very small space of land.
Nice.
And the trees are helping.
Yeah. Some shade, providing shade,
and also fixing nitrogen in the soil.
Wow.
The acacias.
Yeah.
So now the nzos are being fed by the nitrogen.
Oh, no wonder they are sort of thriving.
They are somehow thriving in between the trees.
Yeah.
Without any watering. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
So I think your concept of feeding yourself first is it's a very good concept.
Yes.
Because you can't give what you really don't have.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Come out of her, my people. Slackness is on the rising, and everyone compromising, feeding the people poison. Even your organs for hear them I say.